Hi guys, welcome back. So today I've got quite a few products that I'm going to use. I've got a stamp set for the sentiment from Lawn Fawn called Pool Party. I've got Pinky the Pig from Honeybee Stamps. I'm using, say, Spellbinder's Sentimental dies, the Waffle Flower A2 dies, layer dies, and Lawn Fawn Stitch Pond and the frame for the pond to create my little scene. For these two pieces, once I'd cut them out with my scan and cut, I actually used this Mama Jumbo punch. It's got different size punch holes on it, so I used that to create the holes in those two things, and you'll see where we put those. It just made sense to me. So to start with, I'm going to use the Tim Holtz, I think it's called Bricked stencil, and I'm just going to create kind of what I imagine being the paving around the pool. And I'm going to use some brushed corduroy ink for this, just nice distress ink. I'm using the blending tool and foam, and I'm just kind of twisting it and pouncing it rather than rubbing it across the stencil. I just find with a foam, sometimes you just get better results that way, and also your foam doesn't then hook on the little jaggedy bits of the stencil. So and then this isn't meant to line up nicely. It's not that kind of stencil, but I managed to make it work. So I think that looks pretty good. And then before, just because I didn't want those stark white lines, I just used the blender tool over that just to sort of make that look more like it's not got stark white grout between the bricks. So what I did with the frame is to colour the frame, I'm going to use some fired brick distress ink. Again, just very simple blending. I'm not worried about how good this looks. I'm going to bring the brushed corduroy in as well, again, just to give it more of a, I don't know, a bricked look. And then I've also cut this out twice more with some regular cardstock. These two cardstocks are Bristol Smooth. That's the main cardstock I've used for all of these pieces, except the 2 extra layers for the frame of the pond. That's just normal cardstock because you're not going to see it. Basically, it's just going to create some height in the pool. So then for the pool center, or the main part of the pool, I'm going to use Broken China as my ink, and I'm using this Crackle stencil again from Tim Holtz, and doing the same sort of method where I'm pouncing in and rather than rubbing over the top with the blender tool. And I thought this kind of looked like, you know, when the sun, or the sun and the light kind of goes through the water, and you've got this almost blue looking water in a swimming pool, and it's that glorious kind of day. That's what it kind of looked like to me. So I thought this was pretty clever on my part. I'm probably not the first person to think of this, but I thought this was pretty clever on my part. So I thought, I'm going to do it. So I just got that on there. And then again, I used the ink over the top of it just to sort of not have stark white, but it just gives that pool glistening look. I don't know, just it did to me anyway. So I now want to decide which way I want this, essentially a swimming pool, which way I'm going to have this on the card, because I want her to lie in I don't want her to look like she's lying down. So I need it to look like she's kind of floating at the right angle, so that when I put the card together, it looks right. So I was just testing out where I wanted to put her. You'll see I still stick it down wrong, and I have to pull it up. Thankfully I didn't stick it down too much, so it didn't damage anything underneath, which is good. And I've got some dry adhesive on the back of this, just some normal double-sided tape, and I'm just going to get this stuck to the brick. So we're going to start building our swimming pool, and this tape is pretty strong tape. I can't remember the brand of this one, but it's like Lawn Fawn have a great double-sided adhesive that you could use as well. So getting that stuck on there, and this is where I thought she's not at the right angle for me, So, and bear in mind, she's also going to have a party hat on there. So I decided to lift this off and do this a slightly different way. So I'm going to pop her on there, roughly where I want her, and then put the pool down. And this just worked better for me. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it however you want to do it. So now I'm taking the plain 2 pieces of cardstock that I cut the frame out of and layering those up. And I could have added more to this. I could have tried to use foam. Foam I sometimes find, like fun foam and that, when you run it through for frames. I don't have the best luck. I sometimes find that it stretches the foam and then it doesn't line up properly, so it drives me mad. So I don't always do that. And I could have cut this out a few more times so that you get more height. But this worked out all right. And I think also having just 2 layers plus the top layer means that essentially for the pool there's 4 layers because you've got the base piece as well. But it just creates a tiny little bit of depth there for her to sit in, basically. And then I wanted to get her little party hat on because, you know, it's her birthday. So why not? So just popping that on there. And all of these images, I used Bristol Smooth cardstock, which I think I said. And I used my Zig Clean Colour Real brush markers to colour them in. I did that off camera just because the colouring took me a little while, because it's been a while since I coloured things in. I've been doing a lot of die cutting lately, a lot of die cut cards and things like that. So this was really fun, and actually it's completely inspired me to do more of this kind of thing. So I'm using this 1mm thick foam that I have that I love, and I'm just adding a little dimension to her, but she's not going to look like she's out of the pool, if that makes sense. Like, she's not going to be higher than the edge. So it's just a nice little bit of height and dimension. And also, because she's got her party hat on, it means that that will be somewhat level. It won't like be smushed. Yeah. So that just kind of made sense for me. And this is where I remembered I forgot to put her glasses on. Now, I could have left them as little sunglasses, and that would have been cool, but I thought they looked like goggles, you know, like she's in the pool. She needs goggles and a party hat and a drink. I mean, why not? So I also coloured and cut the, there's lots of little bits in this set, so you can create lots of different occasions with it, which is what I really like about it. And I decided she's by the pool, so she needs, and it's her birthday, so she's got her drink in her hand, which, you know, everybody needs. And then it's a poolside thing, so the ice cream made sense. The cupcake, well, birthday cake, and a donut, I just thought, why not? So that's what I went with. And all I'm doing here is making sure that the foam is not going to overlap the edge of the pool, so that when we put these on, they are level. And they're not going to get that weird wonkiness going on. And then I was just checking where I needed to add a little piece of foam for the donut. So same thing again, just the donut needs it just on the edge there, and then the wet glue can go on the part that's going to stick to the other cake, because they'll be all one level now. And then all we have left is to add the sentiments. Again, I did this off camera just to save a bit of time, but I basically stamped the sentiment and then used the Spellbinder dies that I showed you earlier to create little, just a little bit of something around the edge of each of those sentiments. One of them I had to kind of maneuver just to make it a little shorter, because the die itself was longer than the sentiment. Obviously these are not meant to work together, but we make them work. So just getting some foam on either side of the sentiment, and then the section that goes over the edge of the pool, I'm just going to add a bit of wet adhesive again so that they lie level and won't look all weird and wonky. So lining that up there, and then getting the rest of the sentiment, so just floating by to say have a happy birthday. How cute's that? I thought it was cute. Anyway, so just lining that up, and there she is, nicely done. And I totally forgot to get my card base at the same time, so I went off and just grabbed that. So this is a piece of box standard cardstock. It is 8.5 by 5.5. No, it's not. It's 11 by 4.25, folded at 5.5. And that's going to be our card base, which is just a standard A2 size card. And all I'm going to do is, I look like I'm in slow-mo here. I think I forgot to speed this bit up. Anyway, all I'm going to do is stick this now to the card front, and that will be that. Very, very easy to do. I thought I'd use some wet adhesive. I thought it'd just be a little quicker and easier, seeing as I was at this point in the card making stage. And this, yeah, there you go. This is how slow I craft. I do not, that speediness you see when I do my videos is super sped up. I do not craft that quickly. But also putting a wet adhesive on for something like this, I find just gives me a little bit of wiggle room time. So I can then line things up. It doesn't give you a ton of time, so you have to be fairly quick, but you get enough time just to make sure it's lined up where you want it. And then give it a good old squash, and there you are. So there you have it, guys. One very cute. I thought this was adorable. I've wanted the stamp set for a long time, and I finally got it. And I'm so pleased I could make us a cool little birthday card for you guys. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and until next time, bye for now.